Kia ora, hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to day 2 of the Get Started in Parasport online event with ACC and Paralympics New Zealand. For those of you who are joining us today for the very first time, my name is Laura McGoldrick. I'm hugely delighted to be back as one of the MCs for the very first Get Started in Parasport online event. Haven't been kicked off, so that's a pretty good start.
And for those of you who weren't here yesterday, my name is Dan Buckingham. My background in parasport is I was part of the All Blacks for 16 years and got to be part of that gold medal winning team back in Athens 2004. The highs and lows of Paralympic sport, I was also part of the Beijing 2008 team where we didn't quite do as well, and it's been a bit of a rough ride since. But the All Blacks are back going to Tokyo for the 2020 Games. These days I work for Attitude Pictures, but also a dad. That's taken up most of my time.
Again, I've forgotten to mention my children. Dan's outshot me twice now in the intros, which is a bit of a concern. But we're very excited to be back here for day 2. Quick recap of what happened on day 1. Well, we chatted to Sophie Pascoe, heard her story, which was hugely inspiring. I'm sure some of you would have heard it before, but it's always lovely to be reminded of what she's doing and how she's going and how she got to where she is. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, always love talking to Soph. She's such an awesome human as well as a phenomenal athlete. But the classification part I really loved digging into that as well because it's such a unique thing to parasport, and some people I think can find it confusing unless they really get a chance to talk about it. But ultimately, it's just intriguing and a kind of an interesting take on how to make the playing field level or even.
I have spent some time working with parasport Paralympians, but I found it really interesting learning about the pathways within the community of how you can get to high performance, or you could just get into parasports that you love and enjoy. And yeah, that classification thing I found to be very educational as well.
So another jam-packed day today. We have athletes, coaches, parasport experts, and of course you can find a full schedule on the PNZ website. So jump on there, see what's coming up. The other thing, of course, if you missed yesterday or you're a bit late coming to the party today or you want to share it with friends, there is a link available so you can watch this after the fact.
So there's, like Dan mentioned, heaps happening today. Ask your questions. We want to hear those. You can do that very simply. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But first, I need to tell you about what happens if there's a technical glitch. Because this is the first one of these live events that has happened. We're very modern here. And there is the possibility of a minor technical glitch. So I'm going to read it from the paper because I don't want to get this wrong if something goes awry. So, there is always the possibility of technical problems, but if you are experiencing those with your live stream, which you can't fix, feel free to contact the team at the contact details on the page below. Someone will try their best to help you, but if worst comes to worst, the website goes down, head to Paralympics New Zealand Facebook page and you will find a link to the live stream there.
Cool. So as Laura mentioned, questions is a big part of this, the Q&A. We had some really phenomenal questions through yesterday, really in-depth questions, as well as some that were just, how do I get started? Even down to that detail, we're ready for anything. The way to go about it, you can scan the QR code on the site, or you can just go straight to the site itself, app.slido, and enter the code #Parasport. There is a slight delay between putting your question in and us receiving it, so don't wait for us to say we're ready to take your questions. Just fire ahead, get them through, and they'll come up for us when we're ready.
I find as a sleep-deprived parent, if you write it down immediately, it's actually very beneficial because you'll probably forget the question at the end as well. Sometimes, Dan, parent, you know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember 2 minutes ago. So
he can't remember. There we go. Now, before we do kick things off for day 2, I would like to say another massive thank you to Paralympics New Zealand's partner, ACC. Without their support, this event would not be possible. So a big thank you to ACC.
Cool. And the awesome thing about doing it online is we have people from around the country. So to kick off today, day 2, we have parasport psychologist Corban and we have cyclist Nicole to talk about the importance of mental well-being as well as, just performing in that high performance pressured environment. So we'll pass it over to Rod and Nicole.
Hey guys.
Fantastic. We're on. Okay. Why don't you introduce yourself, Nicole?
All right. Hey guys, my name's Nicole Murray. I'm a paracyclist and I'm a left hand amputee. I lost my hand when I was 5 years old. I'm hoping to go to the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics, and I've been riding for about 6 years now. And I'm calling you guys here from the velodrome in Cambridge.
What's an interesting fact about you, Nicole, that people might not know?
Up until about a year ago, I was working as an adventure cave guide in the Waitomo Cave, so abseiling and ziplining underground for most of the daylight hours, which was fun. Yeah.
And as Dan said, my name is Rod Corban. I've been the psychologist with Paralympics since 2006. So I knew Dan in his glory days when he had more hair than he's got now. My role, I guess, across Paralympic sports in general is primarily to make sure the athletes are well mentally and their well-being is being looked after. And also within that context, when we've got athletes that are well and healthy and happy, then they typically perform pretty well. My role specifically with Nicole pretty much is just to carry her bike when we're on tour, to give up my room when she's sick, which is quite often.
Sorry.
She's also been known to, I haven't got any evidence, she's also been known to put eggs in my room afterwards, numerous eggs, although she said it's not her. But on a serious note, I guess my role in all the sports I work in is just often to create a space for athletes to talk about stuff, to get stuff out of their head, just to get some perspective on some of the challenges that they face. Yes, that's pretty much, that's my role, I think. Do I do anything else, Nicole?
What's something fun about you?
Oh, there's nothing fun about me. Come on. There's nothing fun. My reputation is that I'm grumpy, old, and that's just true, actually. So good with that.
Well, you hide it very well.
Thank you. I've also been asked just to remind people to put their questions in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. Okay, so I guess I'll start with some questions, Nicole, we've been given. So we'll see how we go. So Nicole and I have a bit of a script, but the way me and Nicole tend to roll, we could go anywhere. So let's just buckle yourself in and see where we go. Okay, Nicole, tell me, why do you think mental well-being is important to you?
Well, for me, with cycling specifically, I guess it helps me perform at my best. I'm more willing to put myself in the hurt box when I'm feeling better. And I think I'm better able to get the most out of the people around me as well, and communicate better with them. Although sometimes when everything else in your world is falling apart, there's nothing like burying yourself in a really hard bike ride as well. So, but that's not sustainable. So mental well-being is very important for me. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you think it's important for your performance. Yeah,
definitely. Especially, when you're about to have a competition, mental clarity is really important for that as well, because often I struggle with nerves with racing. So I think it's important to help be able to reach your full potential with a clear head.
Yeah. You think you could get a decent psychologist to help you with those nerves, couldn't you?
Yeah, I'm still looking. Just kidding.
No, when you find one, let me know. Do you think there's a quick fix to building mental well-being?
No, I don't think that there's a quick fix. There's little things that you can do to turn your day around, for sure. For me, sometimes I just have to force myself out of a bad mood to just get out of the house, go for a walk, or just go sit on a friend's couch. Maybe not have too much of a chat, but just get out. So there's like little things like that can help, but I think real well-being takes a lot of work, and for me, like meditation apps and things like that can help. But I think, it can be really, really challenging, and sometimes working at mental well-being can actually almost be like a workout for the day sort of thing. Like it can be really draining having some sessions to work on that thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've talked about a bit, and I've talked with loads of people around really understanding what your basics are, and because we all struggle from time to time, whether you're an athlete or not, and just really being clear on the things that I often know that bring you joy, but not even that. Getting out, exercising, connecting with people. I think we're social animals, and when we're struggling, we do the worst thing that we could do, which is actually we disconnect. So as you said, it's often really hard to keep connected to people in those spaces, but it's such an essential basic of being human. So I think you've nailed it in that one. It's it's a continual work on. It's learning when your well-being is probably going the wrong way, and being really knowing what actually helps you get to where you need to be. So I think it does require a bit of work. You mentioned before some of the things that you do. Have you learned, apart from that connection with others and the meditation, have you got any other tips that have worked well for you that you'd like to share with people? Maybe going to see a good psychologist every now and then, so we can pay our bills.
Yeah, I think actually that's quite important. Actually, is getting over the whole Kiwi stigma of asking for help when you need it. And it's not a weakness, it's actually quite a brave thing to do, I think. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. And I think actually you'll find you'll build better relationships with people when you're able to be vulnerable with them. I would say definitely, get out there and be vulnerable.
You have been listening in my workshops. Well done. I just thought you were just somewhere else.
No, I was present mentally and physically. And just go for those walks, get outside. Outside is a big thing for me. I think it's for everyone. There is some research around just natural light, and that's why you tend to have a lot of mental ill health in some of those real northern European places where they don't have a lot of light during winter. And I think, as you said, when we talk about exercise, it doesn't have to be hard exercise. A moderate walk has been shown to be as effective as anything in terms of mental health and wellbeing. I guess this is one of these questions we've been given. I looked at it. I think this is probably a COVID question, and why not? Because of the world we live in at the moment. Have you experienced feelings of isolation and uncertainty? And if so, what were your coping strategies? I think like everyone felt a bit isolated in COVID. I think it was probably a little bit different depending on who you had around you at the time. I was with some family, so I was okay, but occasionally I still had a day or two, here and there where I just couldn't bring myself to get on my bike. I was just over it, so I actually, me and a few of the girls had a wine chat group. So we had this little group that helped us get through. We'd just, sit and talk. It was nice. But outside of COVID, I'd say that I probably have felt isolated since quitting my job, working at the caves, where I had this opportunity to meet different people from different parts of the world every day, and going to a situation where I'm either at home, like on my own, or I'm at training with the same group of lovely people, but it's definitely a little bit more of an isolated community than what I've been used to. So yes, I have felt feelings of isolation. Yeah.
What do you do about that?
I think I have. It's kind of embarrassing, but a few of the girls, we started going to pottery class in Hamilton. Because it was something easy that I could do. You could sit down, you could still meet some people and have chats. It wasn't going to impact my ability to train well or anything like that, but I was getting out there and meeting people. Trying new avenues, of ways to go and meet new people has been something that I've had to work at.
Yeah, I think that's a really important message to give to people, even if you do get wrapped up in your sport in a high performance setting. Having a place where you can go to where people that aren't athletes, or just so you get a different perspective on the world, you can sort of almost feel normal in a way. You're right, because I think you can go from training to being absolutely knackered and going home and recovering and going back to training. And I do think it's really important when you can to get out and try and connect with other people outside that bubble. Oh, okay. What's made you so mentally tough, Nicole Murray? What factors do you attribute to your mental toughness?
I don't know if I would say quite that I'm mentally tough. I'm just better able to manage ups and downs, and I've just done some work on that self-awareness of where I'm at and what I need in that point in time. I think though my upbringing has contributed to just having the ability to work hard and put my head down. That's what our dad kind of drilled into us a bit, I suppose. I wouldn't say it's, I'm not too sure if I'm quite mentally tough though. Yeah.
again, another really good message. I think, we've seen it in the press and across a lot of sports recently, is athletes speaking up and going, hey, look, just because I'm this athlete, it doesn't mean I don't, I'm not as vulnerable, as fragile as everyone else. And I think that's a real good message, Nicole, because there is this perception that somehow athletes are mentally tough and resilient. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I typically don't think they're more mentally tough or resilient than your average Joe or Jane blogs. Yes, that's a good message for people. I also think, and you mentioned it before, something that's really important is the ability to have some self-compassion and to understand that when you are struggling or when you're not just as good as you think you would need to be or should be, you cut yourself a bit of slack. And so that's definitely an area I think is important for mental toughness, ironically, is having some self-compassion. Well, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Have there ever been times or moments when you wanted to give up your sport?
Yeah, I would say probably the closest I got to it was at the very start, funnily enough. I think it's quite hard to, get over that first hurdle to get all the support from the people in any kind of high performance sport environments, because at the beginning you're trying to, you have to perform well at a selected pinnacle event to become carded, funded, or, access to support and resources. So for me at the start, I was struggling a lot with injury to my ITB that seemed to just have no rhyme or reason to it. I couldn't predict when it was going to flare up, and that was really stressful because I only really had one shot at getting on board the high performance train at the Rio World Champs a few years ago. And if I didn't perform well at that competition, then that wouldn't be it. That would be it for me, because I couldn't afford to keep going away on competitions and, put myself out there to qualify for all that support. So, having an injury that could just come up at any point without me being able to tell when it was coming on, that was really stressful, and I was wondering if it was worth getting into. But luckily, it didn't flare up at that competition, and I came away with a silver medal, which was awesome. And here I am a few years later, no regrets.
Awesome. Do you think anything in particular helped you get through that period?
Yeah, definitely some chats with people, yeah, Rod, you were great, talking to coaches and things like that were trying to just motivate me to keep trying, just give it a decent shot. I guess I would have looked back if I'd given up and always wondered, so it was good to pursue that for sure. Yeah.
I think I said that in a bit of jest, but one of the things that we try and do in all the sports within para is to try and build a team environment where we care about each other and we have a laugh with each other. And I think that becomes really important when things get tough, because things do get tough. So the ability to have a bit of a joke and have a laugh and just look after each other, I think is really important. And you're very good at that, Nicole. Thank you. That's my questions. I think you've got some questions for me, apparently.
Yeah. Do you think that any para-athlete should get support on mental well-being, no matter your sport level, or is it just critical for high-performance athletes?
No, I think everyone should be able to access support in terms of their mental health and well-being. I often say this in a lot of the sports I work in, and they tend to put all the resources in psychology at the sharp, pointy end, where I often think that you can add more value in a developmental space, because the things that you've gone through, you get into the sport, all of a sudden there's this extra pressure, you get all these people trying to help you out. So I definitely think that it should be made available to everyone. Of course, there's a resourcing thing, but yeah, and it's not just athletes. I think our access for the general population to mental health and wellbeing support is not as good as it could be. And I know there's a reason for that, because it costs a bit of money, and we know the government's trying to do something about it. But so yeah, I think it should be available to people no matter what level.
Yeah.
Help pay my bills. I'd be able to keep paying my mortgage. It'd be great.
All right. Do you think that parasport is for everyone?
Yes, that's a very good question. So Paralympic sport, I think, probably isn't for everyone, for the reasons you said, because it does require a certain commitment to actually really throw yourself into it. And often what I find with a lot of disabled athletes is that they sort of stumble across Paralympics in a way. They go to give it a go day, and then all of a sudden they go, oh, you're producing some good numbers, and then all of a sudden they become on this pathway. And I think that transition is quite difficult. And I just do think that being a high-performance Paralympic athlete isn't for everyone. Having said that, not everyone has to be a high-performance athlete trying to get to a Paralympic Games. Definitely some real benefits for people being physically active with their disability, whether it be swimming, whether it be cycling. And for a lot of it is, or any other sport, and for a lot of reasons, the reasons you talked about, connection with people, being physically active. So I guess it's not quite a yes or a no answer. I think being a high-performance athlete for anyone, whether you're a para-athlete or an able-bodied athlete, isn't for everyone. It does require most of it requires a certain amount of dysfunction in people, and not all of us. Not to say you're dysfunctional, Nicole, so I don't think it's everyone. But I do think para sport across the community and it is for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How similar or different are the coping strategies that you would implement with athletes in sport versus just normal stock standard humans?
Normal stock standard humans. Okay. Yeah, pretty much it's the same. People call me a sports psychologist, and I sort of get a little bit upset with that because I'm not a sports psychologist. I'm just a psychologist who just happens to focus on working with a particular population of our athletes. They still have the same, we all experience pressure as a parent, to be the best parent we can be, or to be the best partner we can be. So there is this thing within us that drives this little inner critic in all aspects of our lives. So the coping strategies we implement with athletes are no different from non-athletes. I think, however, often where it becomes a little bit more difficult for athletes in general, particularly high-performance athletes, is when they get a bit of media coverage. And I think a lot of their failures or their failings as humans even is often presented in the media. So it's open to everyone. So I think that creates a little bit more pressure for them. But yeah, indeed, I always go, look, I just apply the principles of psychology that I would apply in any setting, in this setting to the people that are in front of me.
All right, I think that was my last question.
All right, okay. Is that we've probably got more time. Have we got more time? Where are you? Are you actually in the velodrome or are you at home?
Me? Yeah, I'm in the athlete lounge.
Oh, tell people about the athlete lounge. They might want to know.
All right. Well, it's great because you can come in here after a workout or if you're in between workouts and just chill out. There's beanbags, there's couches, there's air conditioning. There's this wonderful cereal cabinet where you can come in and eat some cereal.
They look pretty empty. You can take them home to your flat.
Yeah, I had a few bowls. And we also get milk from Terra, which is great. And there's actually even a ping pong table over here, which is a bit disused, but the thought is great.
All right. Okay. Thanks. I'm sure people are interested in that. I just want to say I've never been invited into the athlete.
Next time.
In fact, I have a card, and it works in every part of the velodrome apart from that room. So I think you guys are trying to keep me out. That's what it is.
You'll drink all the milk.
Oh, well, okay. I think that's us, mate. It's been great chatting to you, and hopefully people have got a bit of an insight on what it's like to be a high performance para athlete. Thank you again for your lovely smile and laughter.
No worries. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rod. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome chat there, guys. That was really cool. I think we're going to pick up with, we're getting plenty of questions coming through from the public now. So I'll kick off with one straight off the bat. There's a good one here about what would you, either of you, suggest to a new amputee to go about coming to terms with your disability from a mental well-being point of view, as well as staying motivated to exercise. So I guess, right, you work with a number of athletes, but throwing a disability into the mix there's another element there. Where do you start with that one?
Yeah, I'm actually not going to answer that question. I'm going to let Nicole. I'm not an amputee, so I often I feel like a bit of fraud sometimes. I'm actually working with all these disabled individuals, and I'm saying I'm understand. I freaking don't understand. I haven't got a disability, apart from, as you pointed out, Dan, my hair. So I'll let Nicole answer that question. You have a go, mate.
All right. I would say don't put too much pressure on yourself, and don't compare your pathway to others. I think, you should, like we talked about, still get outside, and look after your well-being, and don't hide away from the world. I think a big obstacle is probably going to be a change in the way that you see yourself, your image of yourself. And I think don't think that you can no longer do everything, and don't listen to what people, which is really hard for me to say, but don't let other people's idea of what you are now not capable of be your own metric, Like if I let people's thoughts on what I was capable of hold me back, I would never have been a cave guide. I would never be climbing up waterfalls during the day and rock climbing, and I maybe not would have ever learned to ride a bike. Like, there's a huge list of things that I would have never done. And I'd say get connected as well. Whilst don't compare yourself with other people, still get connected with people who have gone through what you have gone through, or similar, and reach out for that support. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's
what an awesome answer. Oh my God.
That's some unbelievable advice right there.
Yeah, a couple of really good points in there. And I think also Sophie had some really good points about it yesterday. I loved how she just owns her disability. But also she talked about, and similar with me, is I feel like disability isn't like a natural trajectory of, working it out along the way. It comes with its own peaks and troughs, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question for you guys. What are some techniques you use when dealing with nerves or stress?
Well, for me, I think it's something that I can't ever just whip out on the day. It's something that I have to work at a lot of times leading into competition, so that I can just, control my nerves on the day. So for me, breathing apps on like your phone and things like that, meditation apps. And I guess practicing using those if I'm just having a really crap day or something like that, and I just feel I don't want to do anything, use those breathing apps. For me, it helps me implement what I learn on that day, on race day, when nerves are really high and you feel like throwing up and it's just horrible. You're not going to feel better, but using those breathing practices are going to be great for helping you manage in those scenarios. Yeah. Yes,
some real good advice there. I think often people will jump to strategies when they need them, without realising you actually have to practice them. So Nicole's mentioning of the meditation apps or the breathing. We know through our breathing we can help down-regulate some of our stress response, but you actually have to practice it in your everyday life. And I think there's another thing that Nicole alluded to, which is around an acceptance that you might not necessarily not feel any better. You still might have the nerves. It's when we're trying to get rid of our nerves or get rid of the thoughts, that's when we get into trouble. It's about being able to sit with them. I often use the metaphor of a storm. It's like we can get wrapped up in our feelings, the storm of our thoughts and our feelings. But if we can manage to sit in the middle of the storm in the hurricane where it's nice and calm, that's the trick. So, yeah, really, I think the message from Nicole, the most important one is practice your breathing, practice your meditation in all aspects of your life, and then you might find that it's easier to use it when you actually need them.
Brilliant. I think there's a few more questions coming through, but I think we're probably running out of time there, and I think you guys have covered so much within your talk. But a few comments off the back of that. I think one thing I'd like to pick up on is, right, you talked about athletes are just, they're human like everyone else. But I think also through sport, there is an opportunity to grow. And I think that's something definitely for me. I felt privileged to have access to people like you and to learn so much along the way. So I think for people getting started into para sport, this is, where would they start? Where would they find someone like you? How would they go about that?
So Paralympics New Zealand, actually, one of my contracts is with Paralympics New Zealand, and under the old sort of the high performance system is that my job was simply to provide support to carded athletes. my contract with Paralympics is that you can, if you are in that sort of pathway, in the early stages of that pathway, you can probably request through Paralympics to connect with someone like myself. So that would be my first suggestion: is contact Paralympics and see what's available, Paralympics New Zealand, and see what's available to them.
Cool. And any obviously that's a step getting into it, but anything that people can start just getting underway? You talked about the meditation apps. Any quick go-tos?
Yeah, I don't know. Nicole, which ones have you found useful? I've thrown a few at you.
I only used the app 10% Happier while it was free, and then I stopped using it. Now I just scroll on YouTube and just find breathing exercises, and I just find one with a voice that doesn't annoy me, to be honest. Yeah.
That's why she doesn't use any of the recordings I made for her. I think that, Dan, there's a couple that I would suggest. One is Smiling Mind, which is an Australian one, and Aussie Cricket used it a little bit. So there are some sport-specific ones, although they're cricket, but you could get an idea of some of the concepts that you might use in sport. There's obviously Headspace, but a little bit like Nicole, Headspace costs you a bit of money. I found one recently which I really like, and it's called Reach Out. The company's called Reach Out. It's another Aussie company. It's just called Breathe. So Reach Out, Breathe is a good one. It's a little biofeedback one. You put your finger on the screen, and it uses a technique called box breathing, which is a particular technique that we use in psychology. But I think, like Nicole said, just you can jump on YouTube and just find one that you like. I think the key to a lot of them is simply, we talk about using your breath as an anchor, but it's that diaphragmatic breathing. So just teaching you to breathe from your diaphragm is really important.
Cool.
I'd love to ask a question. So you talked a little bit about when the public comes into play and they had their opinion, and then yesterday we heard a little bit from Sophie, and Nicole, you touched on it in one of your answers about coming to terms with your disability. How would you help people or guide them or get to that place where they can come to terms with it, or they can start the conversation where they say, hey, look, I'm not okay, I'm not feeling good about this? Because sometimes I imagine it would be a hard thing to talk about or to get the conversation started.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where, and for me, like being a part of community level gatherings of people who are in similar positions to me has been great, because you see everyone else and they're just like you. So it's like normal to talk about these things with other people, You're no longer the minority in those scenarios, so it's not such an outlandish discussion to have. I think it's kind of something that I would never push someone to talk about, though. I would just want to be supportive to them and open with them about my story, and kind of, put that out there as something that they can carry on talking about if they want to, but I would never put pressure on anyone to talk about their disability if they didn't want to. But everyone's different with their disability and how comfortable they are talking about it. Yeah.
And Rod, just a follow-up question there. How would you get, family members of those who are, because there's been some questions if people have, recently lost limbs and what have you. How would you help support those people who are going through that as another family member or friend?
Yeah, and I think Nicole sort of talked around this a little bit. Is that it's often you might go, and it's the best intention, it'll be all right, it'll be okay, life goes on. And that's what they don't want to hear. There's a real acceptance of, actually, you've had this thing happen or this change. It's going to be difficult for you. So not pushing them to actually talk about it, or look on the bright side of life, because often a lot of people have accidents. It changes their lives, and to say it's all right, you're still alive. Okay, you are, but it's still a really hard transition for a lot of people. And I think to understand it is a hard transition. And it's a process. It doesn't, even though an accident might occur in a discrete moment in time, the transition in terms of how that's changed your life is going to take a while. And I don't know, Nicole, you could either confirm this or not. I think it's an ongoing transition. I don't think you ever, Dan, again, you're sitting here, you'll know this as well. And, I don't think you ever finish that transition. It's always, I think it's a continual transition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Definitely different phases of life. It plays out in different ways as well. And to a large extent, during sport, because you're so deep in that environment with other people who live with disability, it almost it levels it off a bit. And that was a great thing about wheelchair rugby, is very quickly as some young guy who had a spinal cord injury, I was just, I was at their level. They did not hold back on me coming into the team. So it was kind of cool in that way that you're just around a bunch of guys who are a very similar situation to you. I think
and there is some literature. There actually is some literature, Dan, on Paralympic sport as a transition after acquiring a disability, and because you might have this accident and it's a big change in your identity, and so who am I as a person? Where do I fit in? And there is some research that's come out recently that's shown that actually taking part in Paralympic sport helps with that transition. It gives you a new sense of identity and a sense of purpose. So you just to support what you're saying. I think that's the beauty of Paralympic sport for me, particularly people that have been maybe had an accident that's changed their life.
On so many levels, right? There's suddenly I could see something to aim for, to try and be. Watching from my student flat in Dunedin, I watched the guys performing at the Sydney Games in 2000. But also I think there was a bunch of guys around me who had been through what I was going through, and to see them out the other side doing so well, traveling the world, playing sport that they loved, as well as all facets of life. But I come back to, I think, what I was trying to get through is there's also that you're around guys who, suddenly my wheelchair did not have anti-tips or armrests, they level you off, and there's any sort of sense of mollycoddling is out the door, which I loved as well. And I think not by design, but, really just did get me into living life well with a disability very quickly.
I remember sitting at a table with Dan Buckingham at a breakfast table once, and I was struggling to open the plastic container with my full use of my hands. And he had much pleasure in taking it off me and opening it for me and handing it back.
Yeah, good stuff, good times. I think Laura's going to pass us on to the next part of the day, which is unfortunate because I feel like, sports psychology is such an important part of sport. And I feel like I've had the privilege of working with you, Rod, as well as Ash and a few others. And it's not just about performing well and performing in the moment and being able to handle pressure. I feel like it really does enrich your life, and I just got so much out of it. So thank you guys for being part of this.
Yeah, thank you both so much. It's awesome, and I love that we're having this conversation, and I love how open and honest Nicole and yourself are, Dan. It's one of those things that I'm just so thrilled that there's no, talking about mental health is such an important thing. And it's coming to the forefront of everything now. And as we heard from Sophie as well yesterday, once you sort your mental health, you realise just how important and how big a part it plays in everything.
Yeah, and also it wasn't just about the individual. With being part of a team sport, we worked a lot on team culture. Why are we doing this? How are we supporting each other, especially when in different parts of the country? But also we talked about things like, what about our loved ones back home as well? Because we're going on these big adventures and then we come back home and excited, and in the meantime our partners are just, holding the day jobs, carrying things on. So all that
I wouldn't know anything about that. I would not know a single thing about that. Look, it is time to move on to our next session. And Dan, I do mean that it's. I think you're just so brave to open up and talk about that. All the people who have come on today, it's someone sitting here. I just feel very inspired by you all. Next thing, though, we are excited to introduce our new panel of very talented para-athletes and hear their stories. And joining us in studio is the very lovely Heidi from Paralympics New Zealand. Hello, Heidi.
Hi, Laura.
How are you going?
Good, thank
I
you.
hope you're not nervous, but don't forget though to please send through all of the questions as they come up for you. We'd love to hear from you. Heidi's going to get onto those a little bit later on.
Awesome.
Take it away, Heidi.
Thanks, Dan and Laura, and thanks, Rod and Nicole, for such an amazing session. It's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce you to an amazing panel of athletes who are from 4 different parasports and all on different stages of their parasport journeys. With us via Zoom today from all around New Zealand, we have para-equestrian athlete Louise Duncan, wheelchair racer Jaden Movold, paracyclist Anna Taylor, and para-alpine skier Bailey Unahi. They're all going to tell us a little bit more about themselves. So, hello Louise, could you kick us off?
Hi, I'm Louise Duncan. I'm from Levin. I've been in para since 2017 was when I was classified, and I had meningitis when I was 17, which left me paralysed from the neck down. So I learned to walk again and talk. I've also had a series of strokes and seizures, and I own my own business now, and I'm a hairdresser, and I have Louise Duncan Hair Design in Levin.
Awesome, thanks Louise. Jaden, you next.
Hey, my name is Jaden. I am 16 years old. My disability is spina bifida, and I am a wheelchair racer. I currently compete for my club, Bays Athletics, and also compete for Auckland at national events, and I aim for the Paralympics. And an interesting fact about me is actually last year, at 3 a.m. in the morning, I did some sessions via Zoom with some guys in America doing the Boston Marathon. So I did a marathon at 3 a.m. on Zoom, which was pretty crazy of me, but it was fun.
Wow, that's amazing, Jana. Well done. And Anna, thanks for coming along today.
Hi everyone. I'm Anna Taylor. I'm based here in Cambridge. I'm a paracyclist and I'm 29. I had a severe disc prolapse when I was 25. That is what got me into parasport. And I'm vying for a spot for the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. And now, last but not least, Bailey.
Hi everyone, I'm Bailey. I'm in Wanaka at the moment, so I can be close to the mountains. But when I was 19, I was at university in Dunedin and a balcony collapsed on me where I sustained a spinal injury. So that's how I got involved into para sports.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys again for being with us today. I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, and if you'd all like to answer, if you don't want to answer, don't worry. But we'll kick it off with, could you each talk us through your parasport journey? How did you first find out about parasport in general, or your particular parasport? How did you get started? So Louise, do you want to kick us off?
So when I was 17 and I had my meningitis, I was approached by someone in parasport. Unfortunately, at that time, mentally, I wasn't quite ready to accept that I was different. I feel it took 10 years for me to really accept that. And it was later on that I got speaking to another para-equestrian at a show and had talked to them about having issues with competing able body and feeling different to the other riders. And she suggested that I contact ESNZ and discuss para and talk to Vicky Melville, who is one of our national classifiers. And that's really where the journey started for me. Once I was classified, it just opened up a whole lot of doors, and it's been amazing.
Thanks, Louise. Jaden, did you want to talk through your journey?
Yeah, so I actually started parasport when I was actually real young. So I did swimming for many years, and at the age of 10, I started doing competitive swimming, and I did that till about 15 years old. And while I was also doing swimming, I did sports like basketball, wheelchair turbo touch, triathlons, hand cycling. But it wasn't until 2019 when I decided to get into a racing wheelchair. And I'd done it previously, but I wasn't really fond of it until about 2019. I got in it and absolutely fell in love with it and haven't looked back since then.
Great stuff. And Anna, can you talk us how you first got into parasport?
Yeah. So when I hurt my back, so it was probably about a year after my injury, I still wasn't fully recovered like I thought I was going to. And I was just talking to one of my old teammates who used to compete in rowing in the States. And I was talking to one of my teammates about how I just wasn't able to get back into rowing. And she suggested that I sign up for parasport. And I didn't know much about it or how to go about it. So I just kind of looked on Paralympics New Zealand website and filled out some forms and started the process. And then got classified, and I chose cycling partly because it was a supported sport, but also because I couldn't participate in rowing in the same capacity as I used to, so I just wanted to try something different.
Great. And do you find that cycling, being a rower, it's given you certain skills in cycling or given you an advantage in cycling at all?
I think it has. It's quite similar physiologically and mentally. It's been a nice challenge to not have to compare myself from pre-injury rowing fitness and strength to, post-injury. It's a completely different sport. So my I'm starting from zero in cycling. So when I improve, I'm not comparing it to my old self. But I've been a competitive athlete since I was 8. So it's been quite nice to have the opportunity to continue that.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're very used to all the training and everything by now. And Bailey, how did you get into paraskiing?
So I was involved with Paralympic Otago when I was studying in Dunedin, and I was initially involved with the wheelchair basketball. And then at the end of the year, they had this, like 4 different trips booked to like Kajona and in Wanaka to go down and like try out for each weekend if you wanted to. And they organised the transport, accommodation, and like lessons. So I knew a few other people that were going, so I was like, oh, I'll give it a go, but I didn't think I'd actually like it. Had to go, and it was the first time, like, since the accident that I actually had, like, the adrenaline rush, and I guess that, like, I could see the potential to learn, and, like, seeing other skiers on the mountain and stuff, and seeing how independent they were and how fast they could go, kind of gave me that, like, drive to want to be able to do that myself.
Great. So Bailey mentioned how Paralympic Otago had been quite influential in the beginning of her parasport journey. What are some of the other organisations, or who are some of the people who have been involved in your journey throughout your time in parasport? So Louise, did you want to answer that one?
Equestrian Sport New Zealand were very helpful on their website. It has quite a lot of information regarding coming over to para-equestrian and who to contact and who our classifiers are. So that really helped me, and the riders just at the shows were fantastic in the early days, because I really had no idea where I was going or what I was doing.
Great. And Jaden, you're involved with Parafed Auckland, isn't that? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've had a lot of support from a whole lot of different organisations, including Parafed Auckland, Paralympics New Zealand, Halberg, Sanitarium, Auckland Wheelchair Basketball, Coast Swim Club. So when I used to do swimming, it was through them. Swimming New Zealand, now Athletics New Zealand, Athletics Auckland, my coaches. I have a few different coaches, like I have a strength and conditioning coach, and then I got my racing coach and a few others. And then also my parents have helped me. But Paralympics, Parafed have helped me a lot with some funding, and also in the beginning I borrowed one of their chairs. So I think without borrowing a chair from them, I don't think I would have been able to find a chair to participate in the sport. So they've helped me build to where I am today, Parafed. So I'm really thankful to have their support.
That's great. And we've got some people from Parafed Network coming to talk to us in a bit. So we'll hear a bit more about what they can do for you. Anna, this question for you. When did you receive your classification, and how did you find the process?
So I received my classification in I think it was like March of 2018. I found the process really challenging, actually, and all the times that I went through classification, I really found it hard. I am not very good at acknowledging having a disability. So I think when you go through classification, it's kind of right in your face, everything that you can't do anymore. I found it quite challenging, actually.
Thanks for sharing that. Do you currently have a routine, and what does that look like? And how often do you train, and what does your training involve? So Bailey, I'll start with you.
So at the moment we're off season, so it's just at the moment it's just more like dryland training. But in the winter, last year we typically would go up training up at Kajona 3 days a week, and then we'd also do 2 strength and conditioning sessions. But then on top of that, we'd also just go up to the mountain as much as possible, just to get the extra practice in, and pretty much every day on the mountain.
That's great. And Louise, same question for you. What does your training involve?
During the summer months is when we're out competing a lot. So I try to ride at least every night after work if I can. I've got 2 horses, so sometimes it involves a lot of support from the family, getting them in and getting them ready for me. And in winter it's slightly harder with the weather. We're quite weather dependent unless we're able to get to an indoor, which is another hour's drive from where I live at the moment. So I'm still doing, even if it is wet, we'll bring them in and just work with them, just working with them on the ground, the horses. It makes a huge difference to your psyche and where you're going. So working with your training and keeping your muscle memory alive.
Yeah, awesome. You must have quite a full schedule having to look after 2 horses. For all of you, why do you do your sport? What does it bring to your life? Start with you, Anna.
Sport's been a huge component of my life, pretty much my entire life. Having the opportunity to participate in parasport has kind of given me the opportunity to, I guess, celebrate my body after having pretty close to a decade of adverse health circumstances. Just like being sick and injured and hurting my back pretty badly. It's been nice to have something that I can have to celebrate my body.
Yeah, for sure. And I can, from personal experience, sport just helps in so many different areas of my life. Jaden, has it taught you anything about yourself and your life competing at the level of sport that you do?
Yeah, it's taught me a lot about myself. I think with sport, it's taught me that I can do more than I think I probably would have thought if I didn't do sports. It's taught me that I can compete. I feel like I probably would have been, when I was younger, saying that, I can't compete because I have a disability. But there are many people who are at the same level as you or have the same disability as you. So there are many opportunities to compete against people like yourself, like myself. So it's definitely taught me that despite having a disability, I am still able to compete at that stage and at that level I want to compete at.
And Bailey, same question. Why do you do your sport?
It's always been a big part of my life. Like growing up in a small town, played a lot of sport to fill in the time. So I played lots of team sports like netball, rugby, basketball, touch. And then, when I had my accident, I was a bit lost on like what to do because it was like a big part of my identity and like the aspect of like the social aspect, but then also like the competitive and fitness side. So it's just always been a big part of my life, and like the opportunity it brings, like with travel, being able to compete and represent, your region or your country is like a pretty awesome achievement as well to be able to do that. Eventually.
For sure. And Bailey, we just had a question come through on the chat for you. It says, "Hi Bailey, just wondering how long it took you to get the hang of sit skiing. Was it hard? Had you skied or snowboarded before your injury? And if so, did it help?"
So I'd only been a few times before my accident, like with school, like once a year, probably for about 3 years. So I wasn't very good at skiing. I couldn't do it when I was standing. And then getting involved with sit skiing, it was pretty hard because you are only on one ski, so you've got to have quite a good balance. And I did fall over a lot, but it's a good way that they teach at the Adaptive Snow Sports. At Fujona, they've got a really good program up there, and they also have like a Adaptive Snow Sports Festival, so you can do that and you can literally start at any level. And then basically after like maybe 2 weekends, it kind of clicked. I started being able to link some turns, but it did take a while and it was frustrating. But then being able to see where like other athletes had been able to progress to just kind of keep giving you that hope, and you just make those small gains each time. And then I don't know exact dates, but it probably took maybe like a week, like off straight, being able to link the turns, but always continuously improving now.
Oh, that's great. And we heard from Jane Stevens yesterday, who's Adaptive Snow Sports Manager, how risk adverse you have to be able to go at those speeds. So are you as fast as Adam and Corey?
Pardon?
Are you as fast as Adam and Corey? Can you keep up with them?
Definitely not as fast as them. They are very fast. But it's good to be able to chase them down as fast as I can. But risk adverse definitely. But then again, it doesn't hurt as much as you think because it's snow. Like it doesn't hurt as much as as if you'd fall onto some dirt or something. But it's not as scary as it looks. I'll just say that because I was pretty sure it was going to hurt a lot and it was going to be pretty scary and impossible to do. But if you keep at it, you'll definitely be able to do it.
Okay, awesome. And Louise, a question for you. What challenges have you faced during your journey and how did you overcome them?
I had struggles in the early days with dressage. You do sitting trot for a lot of the movements, and through my back injuries and things like that and having paralysis, I was really struggling with that. Overcoming it with para, you are allowed to rise to the trot, but also talking to a lot of people. I think the big thing is talking and asking questions, and no question is stupid. You've really just got to put yourself out there and really chat to everyone and anyone that you can about what you can do to help and moving along.
Yeah, for sure. And Anna, you mentioned how you're hoping to qualify for the Paralympic Games this year. What motivated you initially to want to reach that level?
Well, pre my accident, I wanted to reach that in rowing, the Olympic Games in rowing, and kind of dedicated my life from the age of 16 to do that. Once I hit my back, and Paralympics was kind of an option for me, that was just a no-brainer. I'm very competitive, and if you get the opportunity to compete at the best, then yeah, absolutely going to take it up.
And how's COVID affected your preparations for Tokyo?
To be honest, it's actually been a bit of a blessing in disguise for me, having an extra year to train and kind of have another year of cycling under my belt. I've really only been in it for a couple of years. So any extra time to train, build strength, build stamina and stability on the bike, it's actually been good.
Yeah, well, just wish you all the best luck for the selection and then for Tokyo, hopefully. Jaden, just one question for you. You've tried a lot of different sports before focusing on wheelchair racing. What made you pick the sport you do now?
Oh, well, so as I said before, I was a swimmer for many years, and I was a competitive swimmer, and I one day got into a wheelchair racing chair, and I just kind of I really liked it. I liked the speed, I liked the technicality of it, and I think for swimming, I kind of grew. I was grown out of swimming. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I did a couple of years ago, and I absolutely fell in love with racing, so I thought I would do that instead because it brought more joy to me than possibly swimming at that time.
Awesome. And what are your aspirations for the future? Where do you hope to be in 4 years' time?
Well, I hope I'll go to Paralympics. At the moment, my goal is 2024 or 2028. I'd love to go to the World Champs as well. I don't know when, hopefully 2022 is my goal, but we'll see. We'll see how training goes. And then I would also love to do a few marathons, like Boston Marathon, and a few other of those marathons, because I really love the longer distance.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can all start again sometime soon.
Yeah.
So one final question for you, Louise. Do you travel with your horse when you're competing?
Yes, we do. So far I've been not quite as far as Auckland yet. I did prior to my meningitis. Mum and Dad, our family's a horsey family. If you don't talk horses, you miss out on conversation. So I did ride prior to being in para. But since being para, I've gone as far as sort of just below Auckland and haven't been to the South Island yet, but that's definitely on the bucket list. I did that before I was sick with Mum as a groom, and it was fantastic. So I would love to go down there again and compete. We have a 4-horse track, so it's all self-accommodating with shower and toilet, and the horses stay on the grounds in lovely boxes. So it's like a holiday.
Great, awesome. And one final question for all of you. If anyone who's watching today wants to follow your journey on social media or somewhere else, where's the best place for them to find out what you're up to? Jaden, do you have Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, so I have Instagram. Just search Jaden Movold, and you can also find me on Facebook, Jaden Movold. And I also have my own website, jadenmovold.com, where you can also find more about what I do and the sports I do.
Awesome. How about you, Bailey?
You can find me on Instagram or Facebook, and it's just my name, Bailey Unahi. so it's pretty easy. It's a quite unique name, so it shouldn't be hard to find.
And you, Anna?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not very good at posting, so I'll be trying to improve on that. But it's Anna Taylor, I think. Yeah. If you searched Anna Taylor, I think it would come up.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's lots of people who are going to be wanting to watch your progress in Tokyo. And Louise, can we follow you?
Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, I'm Louise Duncan, and there'll be a profile picture with a horse in it. And I've got a business website, which I am planning on putting updates on that, which is ldhere.co.nz, and Instagram's dressage__diva, which I set up when I was about 10, and it's too hard to change it. So that's just stayed the same.
Thank you so much to the four of you for joining us today and taking time out of your schedules to help other people who might be on their own parasport journey. It's been amazing to talk to you all, and I hope good luck for the future.
Awesome.
Cool, brilliant. What I love about these online forums is just getting such a direct access to just, it's the reality of sport. And I think some comments out of that, one from Anna, just about classification, a bit of another perspective from yesterday, and just saying that's quite difficult. And I think we shouldn't shy away from that stuff. Getting into sport can be tough. It's getting trying to keep up, like Bailey's trying to keep up with Corey Peters. That's a tough ask in itself. But also the world it opens up is phenomenal as well. And talking about Bailey, just saying the feeling of adrenaline. For Jaden, it was getting into the Boston Marathon. The opportunities are phenomenal.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It sounded truly amazing. And do go and have a look at their social media and follow that fantastic group of young people as they go on their journey, because sometimes that's also, helpful to see how they're going and following that. I certainly am going to go and do that, especially _diva. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was fantastic. Dan, how do you reckon that COVID would have affected your prep? Just talking about that briefly there for when you were going to the games.
I think it would have been tough. I think when I was playing, I always thrived on having, the next thing in front of you. And it's always there, this kind of like the 2-year cycle of World Champs, Paralympics, when you play Wiltshire Rugby. But the individual events between that, the domestic, and every year there's a pinnacle event. So to take that away, it must have been like mentally tough just to stay in it. And I think you've got to really love the training to be a good athlete anyway, but to just really sink into that and just enjoy the grind. And I saw a bit of Jaden doing that Boston Marathon. He had a hell of a setup, so he wasn't going round and round a track. Just for those that are wondering, he had rollers set up. I think his old man actually set up a bit of a setup with sheets for resistance that he was pushing on, and just had a screen there right in front of him for however long it took him to do the marathon.
That's some good old-fashioned Kiwi ingenuity, if you've ever heard it. Some sheets.
Yeah, so he had them piled up on the ground so his wheels were rubbing against the sheets so that he just couldn't freewheel it around. Like Jaden is someone who loves the grind, he loves the training.
He certainly seems that way, yeah.
Yeah. So, obviously some athletes who are deep into their sport now, and we're going to find out more about how to get into sport. So joining us in the studio now, we have Jan Roo, who is the CEO of Parafed Auckland, but also representing the Parafed network throughout the country. So it'll be great to hear a little bit about that in a minute. But there's also Casey Flint, who's here representing Blind Sport New Zealand as the Education and Programs Manager. So welcome, and I guess just to really kick things off, it would be for yourselves, it'd be great just to intro a bit about who you are and the organisations you represent. Starting with you, Jan.
So Jan Roo, I'm like you said, the CEO of Parafed Auckland, and I chair the leadership group of the Parafed network. So a few years ago, we created that network to create some momentum at a national level for all the Parafeds. And I'm also the strength and conditioning coach for the Wheel Black. So that COVID question was a real good one for me and for the whole team. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Should we just take a second just to touch on Parafeds for those that are uninitiated? How would you describe what a Parafed is?
I like to say that the Parafeds are like a regional Paralympic committee, but we will cater for all disabilities, for all ages, and all sports and rec. So where PNZ will take care of their parasport, their high performance, their athletes. We will cater mostly for the grassroots levels. We also partner with other organizations for the pathways, but we're mainly at the grassroots level.
And throughout the whole country as well. I think you're saying there's 10 major ones now, but great to hear. I'm personally stoked to see Southlands being reinvigorated and getting back up and running. Casey, over to you. Tell us about your organisation and your involvement.
Yeah, so I'm the Education and Programs Manager for Blind Sport New Zealand. So Blind Sport New Zealand is the national disability sport organisation for blind, deaf-blind and low vision sport and recreation. So pretty much my role is about supporting individuals with a vision impairment to get involved in sport in their local community. So that includes connecting them with local clubs and coaches, helping them find adapted equipment, or supporting those coaches and clubs to adapt the sport to support them best. Cool.
I think just following up on that, so where do you even start with that? Like, what are some examples, some real life examples of, for say, equipment that were needed to be involved in these?
Yeah, so we do a lot of work around the likes of tandem bikes, obviously a bit unique to the blind sports space, and then also a lot of adapted balls. So pretty much any inflatable ball you can think of, rugby balls, basketballs, footballs, anything like that. Chuck some bells into that, and that makes it suddenly audible, so you can rely on hearing opposed to the visual cues from the ball. So we're actually working to put together a whole bunch of accessible sports kits, because fortunately accessible sports equipment is super expensive, has to be purchased from overseas, so it makes it really hard for people who are wanting to get involved at the grass level community, within their school, with their families on the weekend. So we're trying to break down that barrier to make sure that the equipment's available, and then people get involved, all ages.
And for anyone who hasn't seen any of those sports, it really is phenomenal to see blind cricket, how the athletes perform, and it's just amazing to watch. I guess it's, a simple thing is to Google some of it. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. With that last chat, what I found was that it seems to be a theme that a lot of people are shoulder tapped or introduced to parasport. And I feel like we're missing out on a lot of people who could be involved. So if someone's interested, if they think they might be wanting to get into it, how would you suggest someone gets into it?
I really like what Rod said, and everyone should be able to participate at any level, any sport. So I'm really happy to say that we are a good bunch of people, and I'm hoping that anyone reaching out to us, we will make sure that they can access an activity. So whether it's through the Parafed network, we've created, for example, a website called parafednetwork.co.nz, where people can go and research their local Parafed, but also through Casey, through Halberg, PNZ. I really hope that anywhere they will go, they will find somebody that will help. So there is no one pathway to get into parasport. There is a ton of them, but all should lead to a good experience and a good opportunity.
And you, in terms of the Parafeds, you are the ones who are so well connected, right? You will find the right person if you're a brilliant starting point. And what sort of sports are we talking about? What are some of the ones that you could list off that people might just even be interested in?
So in Auckland, we will have the classic athletics, swimming, boccia, wheelchair tennis, wheelchair rugby, wheelchair basketball, all the parasports. We try to cater those parasports, but we're also very mindful of what our members want to do. And we realized over the past few years that our members want to do surfing, want to do skiing. They want to do those cool things, mountain biking, rock climbing. So it's a bit of a challenge for us because we need to create that from scratch. But it's a really cool challenge, and seeing the smiles of those kids when they can actually do what they want to do, it's just, priceless.
Water skiing was a new one for me that I heard someone wants to get involved with. Vision impairment young boy wants to get involved in water skiing. I'm like, cool, we'll make that happen. Not quite sure how, but we'll make it happen. Don't you worry.
Nice. So that's a new one, but I guess you touched on some of the other ones before, but then there's goalball as well, which is unique to people.
Yeah, goalball's the only sport that's actually designed for players with a vision impairment, opposed to adapted from a sighted sport. So that's a really cool, unique parasport, the Paralympic Games. But then obviously we've got other sports. We've got blind cricket, blind lawn bowls, football, essentially any sport you can think of, we'll find a way to adapt it. So while there's all the really great parasport options, particularly athletics, swimming, cycling, that Jan mentioned as well, there's no limit really to what sport you can get involved with, what active recreation, if there's a will, there's a way kind of thing. So, you want to get involved, we'll make it happen. We might not know how to do it, but we'll find someone who does.
Yeah, it really is about sport and rec, getting active. And you touched on families before as well, so opportunities for people to be involved with their able-bodied peers or families as well.
100%. There's opportunity for them to be involved how they want to be, whether that's with their friends at school or with their families, that's with other people with similar disabilities to them. The options are endless, and they can engage how they want, whether that's also community based, maybe they just want to have fun, have a couple of lessons, then head out onto the golf course, or maybe they want to get competitive and get a proper coach and get training to get that high performance level. There's so many opportunities out there.
Cool. So we're pretty quickly realising you guys are the ones to get in touch with. If I got in touch with you, what could I expect in terms of what might you offer me, and also what sort of questions might you ask me, because someone may be coming from a place of just not knowing anything and maybe a bit intimidated. What are some of the things that would just come at them straight away?
We would ask a bunch of questions like, what's your age, what are you interested in, but also understanding a little bit more of your impairment, because if you're interested in competing, your impairment will be interesting to know, to understand a little bit more around classifications. But it's also a really open conversation around what do you want to do? And I think that should be the driver for that. It's, you want to skydive, we'll make it happen. And there is no barrier, no boundary. We can do anything.
Asking also what support they might need from us. So that might be if they need support adapted equipment, or perhaps support transport getting to the sporting facilities, or funding. Some organisations provide funding for the likes of Halberg within the youth space, and some parafeds I know have scholarships available. So there's that support available. And to raise any questions or concerns they might have, can be quite daunting if you haven't been involved in sport before, or maybe if you've acquired disability and you don't know where to start. So those questions and concerns, we can help answer those and help make you feel at ease if it is your first sort of intro into the sporting space.
The equipment side is very important because. And you will know that then, but a wheelchair rugby chair, for example, can go up to 20K. Yeah. And if I have somebody coming to me and wants to get into wheelchair rugby, we need to be able to provide a chair so that this person can try the sport before actually fundraising to get his own. So Parafed Auckland and most of the Parafed have equipment on loan, so that people can start practicing before they actually get their own equipment.
I think something else I find as well, there's so many sports on offer, but there's for me different chairs, because I'm a wheelchair user. They're so unique, from tennis to basketball to rugby. Yeah. And I live in a villa with no storage. Like, are there places where you can keep equipment or stuff like that?
Yes, we do. We are in Auckland. We're based at the spinal unit, and we have plenty of storage room, and we have countless different wheelchairs, but also other equipment, race runners, sit ski. Yeah.
Cool. Now I understand you're not just a place for athletes to go to, right? And sport involves such a wider community than just the athlete. Who are some other people who might come to you, Casey, for maybe coaching or officiating? What are the opportunities there?
In the blind sport space, we rely quite often on sighted support. So that could be the likes of a running guide, so someone to run alongside someone's vision impairment with a tether, essentially a little short rope, or a pilot in the front of a tandem bike, or a guide heading down the ski field. So volunteering is really essential within the sport sector as a whole, but within the blind sports sector and the disability sports sector. So if anyone wants to get in touch, wanting to get involved, they're active themselves, or maybe they want to volunteer as a family. We've had some families get in touch recently, which is really awesome to see. But coaches, drivers, anything you might think of in the mainstream sports space, you know, we need that support as well. So there's so many opportunities for families or people who are keen to get involved.
And similar coming through Parafed?
Yeah, I had this very morning a chat with a student at AUT and want to be involved in wheelchair rugby in strength and conditioning. So that was really interesting, and it's also understanding, and this particular student wanted to be involved in able-bodied rugby, and realized that there is only one or two strength and conditioning coach for the All Blacks, but he said, there's not only one rugby, so there's countless opportunities to be involved in refereeing. In wheelchair rugby, we need a lot of mechanics. That's really important. So yeah, anyone who wants to be involved, there is opportunities.
Cool. Strength and conditioning. Let's touch on that for a bit. Like maybe start with the All Blacks. How do you go about, even within the All Blacks, because that's a sport for people who have a spinal cord injury, but loss of limbs, loss of function to the upper limbs, and you've got such a range of athletes. How do you adapt across a team like that with such a range?
First of all, I will adapt to try to balance the workload. And people in wheelchair, your arms are your legs, and you're always pushing. So first of all, I'll balance so that you will pull a lot. That helps reduce all the injuries. And then based on on what you said, we have each individual is unique. So it's a lot of work in terms of programming, strength and conditioning to make sure that the progression, and we talk about Tokyo, the progression towards peaking at the right time from a macro level to make sure that the whole team progress at the right pace, but also at an individual, making sure that we reduce the risk of injury, but we optimize the efficiency of the training.
Yeah, nice. What I'm hearing is whether people are just coming to you cold, not knowing anything about sport, or whether they're already involved in wheelchair rugby, there seems to be a lot of individualization, right? Yeah. Like it's people, you're coming understanding that people have quite unique needs, challenges, etc. How does that work when, we're here in Auckland, there's a relatively large population base and really good organisations? What about people who may be more isolated? What are the opportunities there? Say in a region where there's not a Parafed, how do they get into sport?
Yeah, that's a great question. I suppose it depends if they know what sport they want to get involved with. There's great organisations. Touching base with their closest Parafed can be a good point. They'll know the touch points of the coaches and clubs. Quite often we'll get individuals touch base with us who, live out in more rural areas, and but they know, hey, I live here, what's available for me? So we can say, there's ABC available, or tell us what you might be interested in. We could give them a list of different clubs and coaches near them, and then we can support them to get involved with those local clubs and coaches, because obviously you don't want to have to travel. Well, in Auckland you travel a good hour to get anywhere anyway, but in those more rural areas. So yeah, there's always opportunities in local clubs. Think of your local clubs and coaches, what's available there, and then we can make something work. If they don't have experience in the adapted sports space, then there's organisations like Blind Sport New Zealand, like the regional Parafeds, to provide that upskilling support and that adapt equipment if necessary. Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hearing is you're still a great point of contact. You will know the pockets and the people in the different places.
I think if we don't know, we'll find out someone who does. So it might not always be me the best point of call, but there'll be someone that I know who will be.
Cool. Well, we're getting lots of questions through, so I might jump to those now. And going the first one straight off the top. I've recently acquired a disability, was very sporty before this, and I'm an adult and find more of the parasporters geared towards either kids or Paralympics. What is out there for people in the middle? So not everyone wants to aspire to be travelling the world, they just may want to compete.
Yeah, we would cater for every age, every sport, every disability. So we don't do, it seems without discussion that we're mainly focusing on para-athletes, but we have plenty of examples of kids that just want to socialize, and that's a really cool
and
thing.
adults as well.
Yeah, we have a very successful CrossFit type program, and we'll see that right after with Michael Heinert and functional adaptive movement. It's an amazing entry point to just get physically active, and we have sessions at the spinal unit where we have 40-year-old ladies with 20-year-old young men, and they just have fun together, and it's amazing. It's really cool. So there's no, like you said, it's no one size fits all. It's just get engaged, and we'll make sure that you will have the right opportunity.
I think we find that quite often you see all the top high performance Paralympians who are doing incredible things, but you do miss that kind of middle tier because they're not being maybe in the spotlight as much. But there's definitely opportunities available for someone who just wants to have fun of all ages with their adults. We find that a lot of people touch base with us when they are older. A lot of the community we engage with, because they acquire their vision impairment at a later age. So we'll connect them in with local opportunities that suit them. Like you said before, there's no one size doesn't fit all. So it's a lot of time and energy goes into replying to those emails. You might not get an instant reply, but that's because we're looking into different clubs, different coaches, how they want to participate, what funding might be available to support them. So get in touch. It's the big thing.
Cool. And of course there is the PNZ website as well. People can register interest there.
Definitely.
And while some people may not be wanting to go to the elite level, that's still another good way in, and will be directed to the right person.
Yeah, and even if, so we're talking about PNZ, enter the form in the PNZ website. You will get in touch with Dale, and depending on your region or your interest, Dale will be in touch with me at Parafed Auckland if it's in Auckland, or if it's a visual impaired, we'll be in touch with Casey. We are a very tight network. We have to be, and it works really well.
Cool. Back to the questions. There's one here. If I would like to do parasport with my sister who is not disabled, is that possible?
100%. We get families involved all the time, so it's a really family focused environment for a lot of, I'd say, the Parafeds as well as Blind Sport New Zealand. So we've got a family cycling day coming up soon in the Auckland area, and it's open to everyone. So that's your brothers, your sisters, your mum, dad, auntie, uncle, whoever wants to come along. They're always welcome. If they don't want to get involved in the sports side, we'll find them a job. So don't worry, there's definitely space for them.
Cool. And what about if the next question here is, can I be a member of both Blind Sport New Zealand and a Parafed? Do you guys fight, or say you got to be one or the other? How does that work?
We can't be protective of this. We want our members to have the maximum opportunities and the best quality opportunities. Most of our programs will partner together, and I have plenty of ideas, but our athletic program, we've partnered with Blends so that their members can come and enjoy our athletic program. But more than happy for my members who have a visual impairment to access Casey's program, and it's going to be the same everywhere in New Zealand. We really want people to get access to what they want, what they need, and no protection.
It's about that positive experience. It doesn't really matter who, in my mind at least, who provides it. If they're engaged, if it's with Parafed, if it's with us, if it's with their local club, that doesn't bother me. I'm not here about saying they're my athletes.
And I'm guessing very much similar with sharing of resources and equipment and all that sort of stuff. Cool. Next question on the list. What age can I start parasport?
Any age.
Yeah.
No rule. I think the youngest we've ever worked with is 5, but there's nothing to say we couldn't support younger children as well. Obviously would be out of a not such a structured sports space. Lots of kids won't get involved in structured sport before they hit school anyway. But all ages. We have
our after school program that it's based within the school sector, and we have all ages really, and I think the youngest is 5. But again, why not?
Why not?
I think at the other end as well, right? With even at the elite level, I'm finding I find there's no age limit. They're still working out the age limit at the other end as well.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of really older athletes compared to the able-bodied world. Do you find that coming through?
Yeah, definitely. So we find most of our the blind and low vision community is of the older age group. So we've got individuals who are getting involved. You know, they don't get their vision impairment until they're in their 60s, 70s. So we might be touching base with them then, which is a whole different to the wider sports sector. So definitely no upper age limit for us at all. So never too old to play sport.
Another question here, you know, we talked about equipment, and this, you guys can help there because that could be a funding issue, but you also help facilitate that. But what about just being involved with Parafed itself? Does it cost to join a Parafed?
Yes, so for example, at Parafed Auckland, your yearly membership will cost you $30 for an adult and 20 for a youth. And we don't make profit out of it. It's just being a member. And once you're a member, you have access to all our programs at a very discounted rate. It's just a matter for us to not lose too much. But for example, a ski session will go down to $40 when you're a member, and you get access to equipment, access to the slope, access to coaches, volunteers. You get the full package for a very low price. You get access to, if you want to loan equipment, that's part of the membership. It's the goal is for finances not to be another boundary, another barrier on top of everything you have all the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what about
blind sport? We provide most of our support for free, so you can be a member. I think it's $10 a year or something like that. So we don't run as many programs as lots of the regional Parafeds do. So the support we provide is more connecting and upskilling individuals. So we're not running as many programs and things like that. But like Jan said, if cost is a barrier to participation, we'll do our absolute best to break that down as much as we can.
It seems to be, you know, what I'm hearing from the cost to equipment to connecting, it's just about taking away barriers and getting people into sport as best as you can.
100%.
Another question that's just come through, is joining Parafed just about participating in parasport, or is it about events as well, I guess, events in the community? Do you go beyond sport?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'll give an example. Late last year, after all the COVID lockdowns and stuff, we've decided to just do a community event where we invited all our partners, all our providers to come along and just show what they do. We partnered with Wheelchair Rugby so that they did a Wheelchair Rugby tournament. So that was another cool opportunity to highlight the sport. But it was mainly to say to our communities, just come and see what we do. Blind Sport tagged along, and we had Paralympics, and it was just amazing for new people and old people to just get together. So it's mostly community.
100%. There's always that social aspect to it. We've got our clubs throughout the country who do a whole bunch of social activities. You know, sport might be an element of it, but there's all the things that sort of wrap around it as well. And there's opportunity to meet new friends and all that kind of thing, definitely.
Yeah, and for the parents to mingle, that's amazing.
Send their kids off with coaches and the parents just, sidelines.
Okay, I think we're just about out of time, unfortunately. But one more question, I think it wraps up that around the community vibe is what I'm hearing is, are there any particular team sports where teams are a mix of disabled and non-disabled athletes? This person who's written this question had heard that wheelchair basketball might be like that.
Wheelchair basketball is like this. Wheelchair rugby is like this. We have a lot of siblings coming along. Had a father coming along the other day with his son, which was amazing. Even sit ski, why not put an able body in a sit ski?
Same for us. For a lot of the sports, for example, goalball, you wear blackout shades, so everyone's an even playing field. So chuck some blackout shades on you. Doesn't matter if you can see or not. So, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that sounds very scary. But it's, for someone who hasn't seen a sit ski, I imagine for able-bodied people as well, it would be so much fun. I've had a few goes, and it's what Bailey talked about earlier. It's that adrenaline rush. It is amazing. Cool. So thank you very much. It's been awesome having you guys. And obviously, anyone can get in touch with you, find out more, whether it's through your own websites or through the PNZ websites. I'm sure they'll direct anyone to you pretty quickly.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Laura, what do you think?
That was fantastic. That was the thing the big takeaway for me is how both of you kept saying whatever you want to do, we'll find a way for you to do it, and I think that's a really important message to take away. So do go and check out these websites for both of them, or go to the Paralympics website and they can guide you towards them, because like they said, the opportunities are there, and if they're not, they'll find them for you, which I just think is brilliant. I think it's really fantastic. I'm actually thoroughly impressed with that. I think that's awesome. Great to have that support, and great for the families too to be able to get involved. It's not that they can't. It sounds like a great place, particularly for parents, to get around. And I'm a great sideline parent, I can tell already, and I think it sounds like a wonderful place to get together and have a real community and be part of a community.
Yeah, and what I found is that it's not just about having people involved and playing with your peers. Those people can really contribute, and when you're playing wheelchair rugby, to have more players come in, it's fresh people, able-bodied people to play against. It's great. So some of the best scout teams for the World Blacks have been able-bodied guys just trying to take us down. It's good times. But another good part of that, I think, that I really enjoyed was talking about getting rid of the barriers and all that, but it's not just Auckland as well. Like, I spent a lot of my time soon after I broke my neck in Christchurch, and Canterbury has a phenomenal parafed down there as well, and it's all the pockets throughout the country are covered one way or another. Even the really isolated areas, you'll find a connection, you'll find some way of getting into sport through the parafed network. Yeah, and not just to go to that elite level, but just do what you want to do, which I think is so great. If you just want to play to meet like-minded people, I think it's fantastic. Sport is such a powerful thing like that. It is time now for our final session of the day of this online event, and we have something a little bit different, something to raise the energy levels on your Friday afternoon, get you moving, join in our fun. It's an adaptive sports session with Michael from Functional Adaptive Movement. Now, just a wee side note, he's going to lead us in some strength and conditioning movements. No equipment needed, but just move some stuff around so you don't hurt yourself by flinging an arm around or something like that and smacking it on a table. So make sure there's a bit of space around. And Michael, you go ahead and take it away.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you're enjoying this event so far. It's been absolutely amazing, mind-blowing. My name is Michael from Functional Adaptive Movement, and today we're going to be taking you through an online adaptive strength and conditioning session. I hope that you're ready. I'm going to quickly cover off what you're going to be needing. Again, you're going to need either 2 cans. If you're super fortunate and you have some dumbbells, you've got some dumbbells. I've got some skipping ropes made out of 2 socks. I've got a pair of socks inside of a sock, so I've got some long socks for skipping. And I've brought in some cushions, which most people have in their home. And if you have a steri band, even better, we're going to be doing some push-ups and some work with the steri band. Health and safety. Before you start, please make sure that there's nothing around you that you're going to knock over with your skipping ropes if you're doing the skipping, that you're not going to run into anything, there's no cats and dogs lying around, and you're not going to trip over any carpets or anything. So you need to make sure your area is safe. We're not throwing anything today, so that should be all good. Let me introduce my fabulous athletes today. I have Neelam O'Neill, who is familiar with some of you as a up-and-coming para-shootist or shotist. Neelam is living with spina bifida. She's going to represent our seated version of our workout today. We have young Kate Danaher is with us. Kate is going to represent our standing folk today, or our walking folk, and Kate is living with hemiplegic cerebral palsy. And the lovely Jodie is one of our coaches. She's going to help out with the session, make sure everybody's posture is fine and online. So let's get it done. Alrighty? Cool. So we're going to start off with a little warm-up. The warm-up, you do not need any equipment. I'm going to demo everything so that you know what we're doing, and then we can crack on. So if you're at home, get yourself off your chair or stand up for us, Kate. Neelam, you stay in your chair, and we're going to get into the warm-up. So for my walking folk, we're going to do high knees, pocket kicks, watch out Neelam, high legs, And we're going to do some side-to-side shuffles. Okay, so you're going to go behind Neelam. All right, Neelam, you're going to do backward circles, forward circles with your arms, some arm hugs, and then we're going to do some lateral raises. That'll give us 4 of each. Okay, so if you want to come a bit forward, you're not going to crash into Neelam. Now you're going to run side to side. Now for both of you, I want you to think about your belly button being best friends with your spine and your shoulder blades back whilst working. And remember to breathe, all right? 3, 2, 1, high legs for you, backward circles for you, and we're just walking up and down doing high knees. And away we go. Awesome. Nice and high, Kate. Get those knees up. That's it. Good job. 7, 8, 9, 10. Fantastic. Now we're going to go forward for you, Neelam, and you're going to do pocket kicks for us, Kate. Good. Try and get that knee up, the heels right up. Nice big posture. Now my seated folk, if you can, what you would want to be doing now is your feet on the floor like Neelam has it, and she's got her back off the chair, which is just challenging her sense of space a little bit better. In Kate's case, she is working on keeping her feet flat. Right, and let's swap it over. Kate, you're going to do high legs now. Neelam's already moved on to the hugs. That's it. Now just watch for balance. Make sure you don't fall over. There's nothing to trip over. Don't kick the walls in. Awesome. 3, 2, 1. Last one. Neelam, what I want you to do is you're going to have your palms facing up. Really externally rotate those shoulder blades back as if you're trying to pinch the back of your chair without your chair actually touching your back. And you're going to raise up to just above your ears and then back down to the side. Kate, you're going to do a side-to-side shuffle, and I want you to face the camera the whole time. 3, 2, 1, and go. There we go. And breathe. Awesome. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. They've both got a little bit of colour in their faces, so I think we've got the warm-up part of this done. Right, for the next part of the session, we're going to go into a strength piece. Our strength piece is 2 movements. The first movement is going to be a press. I'm going to demonstrate this both from a seated version as well as from a standing version using Kate and Neelam. And our second version is going to be a bent over row. Now Neelam, as you can see, is way bigger and stronger than Kate, and she's older. And we're going to give Neelam this really heavy dumbbell. So if you have some dumbbells at home, Neelam has got some 1.5s. If you've got some bigger ones, that's fine. I have a thing in my program, don't go heavy if it affects your form. Okay, so form is paramount over how much weight you use. Kate, I'm giving you some really squished up canned tomatoes to work with. Okay, right, let me demonstrate the 2 movements to you guys. So for both of you, I'm looking for the belly button to be locked into the spine. Squeeze your butts real tight. Neelam's going to have her feet on the floor and her back off the chair. We want to get those elbows up nice and forward, pointing towards the camera, and the dumbbells or the cans are going to be next to your ears and pressing straight up and trying to get your bicep to be best friend with your ears, okay? We're going to do 10 of those. The second movement is we're going to tip forward and we're going to get our shoulder blades back, a big chest, and I want you to bring the cans or the dumbbells up to your hips. So if Neelam leans over here, she's really working hard on keeping her shoulder blades back. He's bringing the dumbbells back to her chest. So it's a real exaggerated movement back to the chest. Kate can do this one of 2 ways. She can stand and bend over with soft knees and bring her cans back to her hips. Give us a quick demo. Soften the knees slightly and bring it back. And if Kate wants, she can also sit in a chair if that's easier for you. Right, we're going to do 2 rounds of 10 reps of each. I'll do the counting so that I'll make sure everybody's on the same wavelength. Jodie's going to help with posture and technique. Here we go. Right, big posture, stomach in, tight as it is, and what did I just say? Tight as it is. Right, anyway, let's get it over. And 1, and 2. Neelam, try and get that left arm a little bit further back. And 3, that's all. Okay, and 4, and 5, very good team, remember to breathe, and 6, and 7, there we go, and 8, nice. And 9, and 10, right. Neelam, you're going to be bending forward now, we're going to do our rows. Remember, you're going from your knees to your hips, okay? Remember to get those dumbbells or cans back to your hips. Kate, you're going to soften your knees slightly, and you're going to bend forward, keep your chest. Jodie's watching for that chest posture, and let's go. And 1, good. And 2, good. And 3, very good. And 4, straight on at the bottom. And 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. Cool. Pop your dumbbells onto your chest or on the floor, shake those arms out. Give it a little rest. We're going to get ready for our second round, and we're going to jump in. Now, normally if we're doing these online, we obviously give you a little bit more rest. This is just for today's session. We're not going to smoke you completely. Okay. Right, you guys ready? Okay, cool. Pick them up again. Let's go. All right. Nice and high, elbows forward. Tummy nice and tight, back with the spine, squeezing the butts, and up we go. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. Fantastic. Straight away, bending down, big chest, knees slightly soft there, Kate, and we're going from a hanging position, from your knees and putting it back to your hips. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, try to get that arm a little bit longer, and 5, fantastic, 6, 7, nice Neelam, 8, 9, and 10. Fantastic, the strength piece is done. You guys can pop your cans away so that they're out of your space. If you're doing this at home, make sure your area is safe, just pop them on the floor, and we're good to go. Right, in our next piece here, let me demonstrate our workout. We're going to do 2 small Tabatas. So we're going to be doing a 20-second piece of work, 10-second piece of rest. We're going to do 3 rounds of the first Tabata, which involves backwards walking for you, Kate, and push-ups. And Neelam, you're going to do backwards skipping versus backwards walking, and you're also going to be doing push-ups. Okay, so let me cover off the walking folk first. So walking backwards, we're literally walking backwards. So I want you to kind of look over both your shoulders if you can to make sure that your area is safe as you walk, turn around and walking. So don't crash into Neelam. Cool. Okay. All right. Your second movement, Kate, is a push-up. So I'm going to show everybody a couple of options here. First option is on the floor. If you can go onto your toes, I want you to squeeze your butt. I want you to go all the way to the floor, chest to the floor, and then pressing back up again. If that's too hard, simply drop your knees down and press up on your knees. Another option is to use a chair, and again, you can do this either on your toes or on your knees. I'm going to do this on my knees. I'm just bringing my chest to the top of the chair and back again. Please make sure that your chair is secure on the floor and it's not going to go sliding away if you've got a hard linoleum floor or something to that effect. Cool. That's Kate covered off. All right, which one are you going to do? The floor one. Fantastic. Now, Neelam, I'm going to give you my very clean backward skipping socks.
You sure they're clean?
They're very clean, 100%. All right? We're just going to do backward skipping, okay? The reason we do backward skipping, especially guys in wheelchairs, is they spend a lot of time in this position anyway. So we want to work on the back muscles to strengthen their posture. Your second movement, Neelam, is using my blue steri band. You're going to simply put it behind your back. If you want, you can hook it behind the back of your chair, and you're going to be pressing forward and looking for full extension of the arms. At the same time, trying to keep the shoulder blades back. So as you're pressing, keep the shoulder blades back. So that's going to be your movement. Are we ready? Right, let me get my timer ready. Here we go. And everybody that's watching us are probably thinking, well, when does the cushion come in? Be patient, my Padawans. We will get there. 10 seconds, and we're good to go. 5, 4, 2, and go! Make sure you got space behind you, nice and tall, good. Only 20 seconds of work. Look behind you.
Halfway there.
Halfway there. By the way, we call him Chad. Everybody would want to know that. And rest. Right, both of you onto push-ups. Kate's going to do push-ups on the ground. First round, she's going to do them on her toes. No. And here we go. You're just doing as many reps as you can. I'm more interested in your form and your posture while you're working. So what I'm looking for in both the athletes is shoulder blades back, chest is big, and full extension on the arms.
Nice, Kate.
Nice, Kate. Go all the way down, champ. All the way down. That's it. And rest. Right, back to your first movement. Backward skipping and Backward walking.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Nice, Neelam. Breathe, breathe into the belly. Keep your breath low into your lower belly, not in your diaphragm. Nice.
Halfway there.
The reason we're doing backward walking is that it's going to work the hamstring muscle group, which is also going to help with balance and confidence. And rest. Right, back to push-ups for both of you. 3, 2, 1, and go. Big chest for us, Nina. That's it.
That's okay.
Nice. Good work. 10 seconds.
Halfway there.
Nice.
Awesome.
Oh.
And rest. Right, last round of this little workout. Get ready, tall posture, feet flat, chest tall, looking over your shoulders, and away you go. Well, the colour in the face is real, gentlemen and ladies.
Rosy red.
The breathing is increasing, which is a good sign. Make sure that you're safe, your environment is safe, your posture is important. And rest. Well done. Right, let me pause that. Fantastic. Well done, Neelan. Let me grab those from you. Now, the second part of our session today, grab a sip of water. If you've got some water at home, grab some water and get it down your throat. Our second movement today, we're going to work more on our lower body or our abdominal structure. So, remember with us, we want to make sure that both your front tummy muscles and the back muscles and your stabilizers are all working in together. So we're going to do 2 movements. The first movement for both of you is going to be a Russian twist with a cushion. Oh my goodness, a heavy cushion. So we're going to move the cushion from side to side. I'd like for you, if possible, to look where you're placing the cushion. Okay? Notice I'm putting the cushion flat. It's harder than doing the cushion upright. So I'm looking where I'm putting the cushion to get that rotation. That's the first movement. Nina's going to do it in her chair. Kate's going to do it on the floor, or she could do it on the settee. So there's your cushion, and there's your cushion. The second movement, if you are able to get to the floor, I'd like you to get your feet into the butterfly position. So your heels are playing pucky with each other, and then you've got your knees open, your hips open, your hands are nowhere near your head. Flick yourself up and touch in front of your hands. Now, if need be, I'm going to borrow Jodie, my helper here. If you're at home, you may have a parent or a carer. Jodie's my helper. She's going to hold a rubber band or a towel, and she's going to help me come on up. So there's another way of doing your sit-up, okay? If you can't do that, what Neelam's going to be doing is she's going to be doing crunches. So she's going to take the band, she's going to put it right over the back of the chair, and then she's going to wrap it around her body, cross my heart, and she's going to do forward movement. Can you just demo that for everybody, Neelam? Give me the cushion. Come on forward a little bit. So notice here that Neelam's getting the band over the back of the chair. So just make sure that you can do that, or you've got somebody that can maybe help you. She's crossing her hands in front of her, and she's just going to lean forward. She's not allowing the band to pull her back. She's controlling the resistance forward and back. Fantastic. Okay, so you've got your 2 movements. You've got your 2 movements. You're ready to go. All right, let's go. Everybody put your waters down. Get your results ready. 3, 2, remember to look where you're going.
Let's go.
So ankle to ankle, axle to axle, hip to hip. Look where you're going if you can. Fantastic. If you don't have a cushion or you don't have grip strength, then just use your hands. Fantastic, everybody. Well done. Kate's doing it with her feet floating in the air. Showing off. And rest. Right, pop your cushions down. You're now doing sit-ups. And again. Fantastic, guys. Again, remember to breathe. Now, you'll notice that Kate's doing it with her legs straight. That's okay too. So Kate has impinged hips, so she's going to be working with her legs together. It's easier for her. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Right, back to your cushions, guys. Back to your Russian twisties. I won't sing. I promise everybody that I won't sing. Let's twist again, like we did last summer. Copyright on the music. There we go.
Halfway there.
Well done. Excellent work, team. And rest. Swap it out to your second movement. So sit-ups. You both feeling okay? Yeah? All good? Fantastic. Yep.
Let's go.
And go. Breathe. Remember to breathe. Keep your chest big. It's not how many you do, it's about what quality of movement you do. And rest. Right, last round, guys. Girls. Sorry, girls. Last round. Sorry, just a PT thing, hey. Always saying guys. 1 and go. Russian twisties. Fantastic. Awesome. Very good, team. Look where you're going. Look where you're going. Where's that cushion going? 3, 2, 1, and rest. Cushions down. Last movement, sit-ups, and then we're going to go into our warm down. Well done. 2, 1, and go. Nice. Right, try and sit a little bit taller there, Neil. That's it. So we just work those lower back muscles as well for you.
Halfway
Good,
there.
Kate. 5 more seconds to go, team, and we're done. Well done. 2, 1, and time. Well done. Woo! Right, let's switch that off. Pop your equipment away. We're going to do some warm downs now. Nina, I'd like you to stay in the chair. Kate, are you going to do it in the chair or on the ground? You're going to stay on the ground. Okay, cool. Right, we're going to sit on the ground. Aren't you joining us, Jody? Come on, man. Right, first movement we're going to do is we're just going to stretch our rotational muscles, our oblique muscles. So, Nina, you're going to grab onto the side of your chair. Kate, you can just take your hand, hook it under your hip, and just stretch over to the side. Please do not do this if you know that you're susceptible to dislocations or joints popping out. Look after your bodies. 3, 2, 1, and breathing. Swap over to the other side. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Right, keeping your legs nice and straight, so Nina sitting nice and tall. Big breath in, blow out your air, and reach as far forward as you are able. And take a big breath in, and out, and reach as far forward. You'll notice with each breath that you're actually going to go a little bit further. And last one, big breath in, and out. Good job. Right. I call this the pretzel. What I want you to do is take your right leg over your left leg. Nina's going to do a different version. She's just going to bring her leg up and she's going to gently push down onto that hip. Kate's already got into position, so is Jody. And just give yourself a giant big hug. Feel the muscles in that hip opening up. How's that workout, team? Short, sharp, and to the point? Yeah, well done. You guys are rock stars. 3, 2, 1, swapping sides. So my left leg's going over my right leg. If you can't tuck your leg underneath you, then I'll just demonstrate. You can just do it like that. You're going to go out in front. You're just going to get a little bit of a hamstring stretch at the same time. Oh yeah. Feel that. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Sitting nice and comfortable. Just take your hand up and over just to stretch out the triceps with all those bent over rows that you did. 3, 2, 1, swap sides. And something that we do on FAM or in the FAM program is the following. Nina, what was a highlight for you in that very short 20-minute session?
Backward skips.
The backward skips with my clean socks. Wonderful. Okay?
The Russian twist.
The Russian twist. Fantastic. Awesome job, guys. Thank you so much for participating in the session. I hope everybody online enjoyed the session, and we look forward to seeing you on the podium soon at one major sport event. Thank you. Bye!
Awesome, Michael and team. I like that, short, sharp, and to the point. That is how I like to exercise. Dan, what about you?
Yeah, and I think if we've learned anything under COVID, it's you can just, a good workout at home is very achievable. So that was a brilliant workout to have.
That was absolutely fantastic. And a great way to actually finish up today. That is the final session of the day. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us over the last 2 days. We've learnt a lot about how to get started in para sports. So thank you to our incredible Paralympians, para athletes, coaches, para sport experts for taking the time to join us today and yesterday from all over New Zealand. Dan and I were just saying how amazing the people within our community are who are working to help make parasport more available to so many Kiwis.
And a massive thank you to ACC as well, of course. They've been a huge supporter of parasport for a number of years now, and really bringing this event to everyone it's awesome. Thank you, ACC.
Now, of course, this is the very first Paralympics New Zealand and ACC event that they've done like this. So we'd love to actually hear your feedback, to hear how much you enjoyed it and what you took from it over the last couple of days. So there's going to be a survey that's getting sent to you. We would really love if you wouldn't mind just taking a few minutes to go through it and fill it out so we can improve and make this event hopefully ongoing and even better for you and more beneficial for you in the future.
And as we've said all the way along, if you just want to get involved in any aspect in any way, then just go to the Paralympics website. It is register.paralympics.org.nz, and that'll just take you. You will be handheld all the way through. The last thing, of course, as well, the online event that was on yesterday, this event, they'll both be online. If you've missed any part of it, if you want to share it, jump online and you'll be able to replay both sessions.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Dan, thank you for letting me come and join you today. I've really enjoyed hearing and learning a little bit more about you as well. It's been really fantastic. Thank you guys for joining us. And Dan, I'll leave it to you to sign it off.
Yeah, well, thank you. Great to spend some time with you, Laura. And I think just, it's all the people who have talked to us, we've got to interact with, that we've got to see on screen. It's just been a fantastic event. So once again, thank you to Paralympics New Zealand, ACC. We've both enjoyed being here and hope that everyone back home has enjoyed it as well. Ka kite.